Time magazine has a cover of a woman nursing her child who's about 7 years old, the child standing on a stool. And the question is, did Time magazine's breastfeeding cover cross the line? So it's some woman, some crazy woman, a crazy woman in my opinion, a 26-year-old crazy woman who is so narcissistic that she appears in skinny jeans, muscled bare arms, and she's breastfeeding her son under the headline, "Are You Mom Enough?" Now, the son is not an infant. The son is a young child. And she's saying that breastfeeding is not just about nutrition. It's about nurturing. Now, of course, you know Time magazine was sold for $1, and so therefore that's about what it's worth nationally. But it's an interesting topic because women today, unfortunately, are so narcissistic that they will, in some cases, do things that you could never believe women were capable of. And so here's a mother, takes her son, puts the kid on a chair. I don't know how old he is, 4, 5, 6. Puts him on a chair, has a breast out, and she's displaying herself for the world to see as she breastfeeds the child. You know it's not about the child. You know she's using her body and her child as a weapon to peddle herself. And the question is, to you, and it's a crazy question because I'm a former, I have a master's in anthropology before my PhD, and I've studied this issue. There are cultural variations on how long women breastfeed children. You know that, don't you? Cultural variations. Like you can tell which men were never breastfed by how they behave. Then you could tell how some men behave that they were breastfed too late, too long in life. If you want me to do it on a political level, you ask me the politician's name, and I'll tell you whether they were breastfed enough or too much. No, I won't do that. But I could tell you by their behavior whether they're basically starving for mommy or they had too much mommy. So here's a real-life mom nursing her child on the cover of the failed Time magazine. And the question is, what's the question to you? How long did you breastfeed your child? Did Time go too far with breastfeeding cover image? I mean, what's the question? Who knows? I guess I'm trying to stay close to the body questions, since you really don't want to talk about major things like Obama destroying the military, wrecking NASA, destroying our moon program, our diminishment in the world, the wreckage in the Middle East, allowing China to open a bank in America for the first time, the Chinese Communist government. You don't want to talk about that. Apparently it's about body parts, male and female. That's the only thing that matters in the American mind. 1-800-449-8255. Pensacola, Florida. Chris, go ahead, please.
Hi, Dr. Savage. In reference to that, I saw the photo on a Time magazine cover. You hit it right on the head. It's not about the child. It was about her. She's selling herself. I mean, I think this woman should be arrested for child endangerment, child pornography, and child abuse. Absolutely.
See, she's not breastfeeding her child in private with a little towel over her breast. What she's doing is displaying her breast with her child, using him as a tool. This is child pornography. This is child endangerment. This is child abuse. I believe that the editor-in-chief of Time magazine and this woman should be investigated by the FBI and possibly indicted for child pornography.
I agree. It was horrible. Did you see the look on the child's face looking at the camera?
Because the cameraman, you can just imagine what kind of pervert he was probably saying, "Johnny, look this way while your mouth is on your mother's breast. Johnny, look at me." So both of them should be arrested. Time magazine editor-in-chief, mother, photographer. It's child pornography. Yes or no? I'll be right back.
Savage.
So Newsweek magazine is the magazine that's sold for $1, not Time. I think Time is worth about 200% of that. And since no one is buying these dead tree publications anymore, the malicious editors have reverted to pornography, in this case child pornography, in my opinion, by running a story on extreme parenting, so-called. And they call pornography now extreme parenting. They take a svelte 26-year-old blonde mother in tight jeans. Her breast is out. She's got her arm on her other hip like she's Miss Sexy. And her child is boosted up on a chair. He looks like he's 4 or 5 years old, maybe, I don't know. and his mouth is on her left breast, and the child's staring at the camera, and the mother has a hostile face on, like she's the coolest thing on the planet. So the question is not so much the debate over the image as much as the parenting. The question is, should Time Magazine's editor be arrested for displaying child pornography? Should the mother be arrested for child endangerment and pornography, along with the photographer? I'm in favor of breastfeeding. I have been from the beginning, because breast milk has many components that cow milk doesn't have. Cow milk is toxic for babies in many ways. Mother's milk has colostrum, which triggers the immune system. There are tremendous benefits to breastfeeding. There's no question about it. And we all know this. I mean, any modern or enlightened individual understands the values of breastfeeding. But you don't take something as, I'm trying to use the correct word, as sacred. That's the right word. Something as intimately sacred as a mother and an infant, and exploit it for commercial purposes like this, unless you're sick in the head. Now, if this is really a mother and her child, this child is going to be a sick child. This little boy will never have a normal life. This little boy is an abused child. This little boy will never, God only knows what he's going to think of women when he grows up. And other children say, hey, your mommy's this, your mommy's that, what's wrong? Whatever. You could think of the taunting. Children are cruel. But the fact of the matter is, the mother is more cruel than the children are going to be to this child. So how do you feel about this? Yes or no? Do you think that it's an okay cover? What else do you want to be talking about? There are many other topics. I mean, I wrote a book, Trickle Down Tyranny, because I believe that there's so many other topics other than gay marriage and breastfeeding. But I think it's a topic that's worth talking about. Because, as I said to you, in a previous incarnation, I was an anthropologist, a medical anthropologist, before getting my Ph.D., and I studied, cultures around the world, and I was actually quite shocked when I first learned that at that time, some people breastfed as late as 6, 7, 8 years old. I believe it was in Samoa, where some of the mothers in the out islands still breastfed at those ages. But that is because there was such limited nutrition for the babies, by the way. It had nothing to do with any other reason. The babies would have starved to death otherwise, and then it became inculcated into the culture. Let's go to the callers on all these topics. Dory in New York on WOR on the breastfeeding question. Go ahead, please.
That picture is a total fake. Number one, that woman is not breastfeeding because her breast is so tiny and shrunk, okay? When a woman breastfeeds, your breasts are enlarged full of milk. And number two, she looks like she could climb Mount Everest, which means she's a very active person, and she has no time to breastfeed a child under a normal breastfeeding schedule. That is a total, I don't even know how to describe it.
Have you seen the cover where it's called Extreme Parenting, where they're saying that you should breastfeed your child much, much later in life?
No, I started to read it. I couldn't even finish it. It was disgusting. I have a daughter, and I breastfed her. And you breastfeed a child a few months, no more than a year or so. Because, number one, a mother does not produce milk for 3, 4, 5 years in this day and of time, okay? And number two,
yes,
most mothers work, especially the
yes,
ones that look like that. You don't have time
yes,
to breastfeed your child.
Yeah. Well, it also, there's a whole psychological element of what it's going to do to a child who is breastfed for too many years. There's no question it turns the child into a very dependent personality. It does not induce a feeling of love and warmth. It induces the opposite, a feeling of need and want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send you a free copy of Trickle Down Breastfeeding if you'll stay on the line. Right here on the Savage Nation. That'll be my next bestseller. Trickle Down Breastfeeding.